investigation will take us.
Wait, could you say, was the girl targeted?
Well, again, there was a relationship prior to this event, and so to the extent of how that shaped this event, that's what we're going to have to determine.
Sheriff, the fatal wound to the shooter, did that come from the SRO's gun? Did he take him down and kill him?
So that, again, is what we're going to have to determine through a very detailed investigation. Again, when the SRO fired, the suspect, as described to me, fired almost simultaneously.
Did he fire at the SRO or did he fire at himself?
That I don't know.
Sheriff, is the suspect's family cooperating?
As far as I know, yes.
Can you spell the shooter's name?
I'll make sure that's provided to you.
Sheriff, can you talk about how often the SROs are trained for situations like this, and is it mandated by the district?
So as an agency, we went agency-wide and redefined and refined our response to active assailants from the notion of a 3 or 4 man diamond response to a single officer response. And along with that, everyone in the agency was trained. We used a brand new elementary school in cooperation with our Board of Education, and every officer was trained on a 12-hour training day. In addition to that, every member of the agency is now equipped with an individual first aid kit and combat medicine training. And that is redone every time that they go to the range. They reapply bandages and tourniquets because we know that saves lives. And part of the firearms training is individual or fundamental aspects of a response to an active shooter. It's taught in our academy, and we do it in service as well. And Dr. Smith could talk chapter and verse and what they've done in the schools in this school year alone in training staff and teachers in the schools.
Sheriff, what kind of gun did he have? I'm sorry, how much ammunition did he have? On the suspect's family, Sheriff, are you able to tell us if not only are they cooperating, but were there any warning signs that they told detectives?
So we haven't found any pre-incident signs as of yet, either on social media or any other evidence. I know that we're out at the shooter's home. We may determine something there that will shed light onto this event. Your question was about a handgun. It was a Glock semi-automatic handgun. I don't know how much ammunition was in it, whether there was, I don't know the extent beyond that.
So how many SROs are in Great Hills High School?
One. There's one SRO assigned to each of our high schools.
Sheriff, I know it's too early to...
No.
I know it's too early to characterize this entire incident, but you seem to be painting a picture of a domestic issue. What we're hearing from witnesses is that this was really targeted at this young lady, and this was not a random shooting, and that he did that and then took off with the SRO in pursuit. Can you sort of walk us through really what you think, what happened?
Well, I did. Again, this individual produced a gun and shot this female student. Whether the motive was to simply shoot her and that was the motive and no more, we may or may not ever know that. What we do know is the SRO did his job, engaged, and stopped the potential threat. So beyond that, we just may not have an answer. It may not be a random event. That may be his intent, but then we're guessing. And of course, beyond his intent, what was he going to do beyond that? We simply, today, don't know that answer, and we may never know. So.
Just one more question after this, and then we're going to cut this, okay?
I don't believe there's any connection.
No, it was 3 or 4 months ago when the incident occurred, it was this message.
What, I don't...
The incident 3 or 4 months ago about a shooting supposed to occur.
So, no, I don't believe there's any connection. I've answered that before.
No, my question to you is that the incident 3 or 4 months ago, was it a domestic incident?
The incident that you described, that you asked me about, was a social media post, which was a hoax. And no, I don't believe there's any connection.
Sir, we can talk to you after this.
Yeah.
We're only going to take one more question for this.
For Governor Hogan. Governor, you talked about legislation in the Maryland State House. Are you happy with what President Trump and Congress is doing nationally in terms of legislation?
No, it's why we decided to move forward at the state level. And one of the discussions earlier was we were going to put $125 million into making our schools safer. That would include metal detectors for the schools that can't afford them, like St. Mary's County, and it would include school resource officers for the counties that don't have the great program that they have here in St. Mary's County, along with mental health counselors and cameras and other things.
Governor, what opposition are you running up against in Annapolis? What's the
You know, I can't imagine, given the school safety crisis that we're dealing with in America, that how anyone could vote against additional school safety measures. So we're hopeful.
Will you be calling for a vote?
It's emergency legislation. We expected it to be done a few weeks ago. We're going to keep pushing for the last 19 days of the session.
Any message from Congress?
They should act also.
Garrett's question, my colleague, the timeline, just so we've all got it very, very clear. You were saying seconds between the time that the shooter student comes into school, shoots the female, the male, and then engages with the SRO and may or may not have committed suicide? Can you walk me through the exact timeline of that, just for the record to stand?
Yeah, so approximately 7:55 a.m. What we understand is that the shooter shot the female student, and then the SRO responded and engaged. That appears to be, as described to me, less than a minute. It could be seconds. So, and then the second part of your question, as to whether or not the shooter committed suicide, that is a potential. As I described, when the SRO fired that shot, there was a shot also fired by the suspect or the shooter. And Chris pointed out there is video, so obviously that's evidence that we will examine very closely and be able to determine, I hope, specific to those events.
And then
Can you determine which shot which shot wounded the 14-year-old? Who shot, wounded the 14-year-old?
No, not at this point.
It could have been the deputy's gun. Is that possible, or is he behind it?
Well, those are the possibilities that this investigation will determine.
Was the 14-year-old, where was he in the vicinity, on the shooter's side or on the deputy's side?
I know that he was in the hallway. I don't know specifically where he was in the hallway.
All right, we're going to go ahead and conclude this. If you would like any further updates, we will be updating our social media, our Facebook and our Twitter account, and also the Sheriff's Office blog with any further information on this. And again, if I could just please remind everyone to put this out there. Anyone that knows anything about today's incident, please call the 1-800-CALL-FBI number. Thank you very much.
Can someone stand for name spellings, please?
Okay.
Oh, by the way, when you leave, take all your trash with you.
All right, Harold.